Inside Cleveland Sports, special boxing edition, Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao. So, Lo, how big is this fight? Like, as for like the boxing community, how really big is it?
Well, it's interesting that you said that because a long time ago, boxing was one of the premier sports next to football and basketball. At one point in time, it used to be bigger. It used to be, everybody was able to pretty much watch boxing with any time they wanted to because it was a demand for it. Now that the heavyweight class has kind of dwindled down, it's like boxing's been kind of lost in a certain abyss, and a lot of people don't really tend to want to be interested. Or the combination of MMA coming up, but it brings it back to the public. It shows you that we still have a variety and diversity of great premier fighters, and not only that, it opens up avenues for fighters like such as myself and a lot of guys that are coming down to Cleveland now. So it brings everything back to life. We all have an opportunity to eat off this. So
okay, now where does this fight rank that as all-time great? Like Foreman, Ali, or Tyson, Holyfield? Where does this fight rank?
Well, it's interesting. I'd say within our century, this is ranked probably the premier fight within the century now, next to Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson. These are pretty much two of the premier fighters within their division and legend in their own right. There's nobody that's bigger than these two fighters as of right now.
Okay, well, now we're about to bring it over to Jameson, who actually has done a timeline for this fight.
Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, two of the biggest names in boxing today. The biggest fight to happen since Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson in '97. But before we get to that, let's talk to some of the events that led up to this actually happening finally. It all started in 2007 when Floyd Mayweather defeated Oscar De La Hoya by split decision. He then followed up later that year by fighting the then undefeated Brit, Ricky Hatton, by TKO in the 10th round. Floyd pretty much defeated everybody at that time and decided he wanted to retire. Well, not so fast, my friend. In 2008, a little punk kid by the name of Manny Pacquiao really started to get his name up there. He defeated Oscar De La Hoya, and he defeated Ricky Hatton as well. Well, he defeated these two fighters, and there was only one more fighter left. You guessed it, guys. Floyd Money Mayweather. So what does Floyd decide to do? In 2009, he decides to come back. And who does he fight? He fights Juan Manuel Marquez. Remember that name, folks. And ends up defeating him in great fashion. So then we get to March 2010. The fight had been set, the venue had been set. The fight of the century was finally going to happen. But there was one little chink in the fight. Floyd Mayweather wanted a blood test for Manny Pacquiao. Now, one thing about Manny Pacquiao is he's absolutely just fears getting blood drawn. Now, he's in the sport of boxing with blood and spit, but you know what? He just fears getting blood drawn with him. So he agreed to give Mayweather's camp a urine test. Well, they didn't want a urine test. So because he did not do the test and they were accusing him of doping, the fight didn't happen. Nothing happened and we were deprived of the fight. So since everything was set, Pacquiao's camp did not agree with this at all, so it ended up suing Mayweather's camp for defamation. Well, nothing came in the case. Manny Pacquiao was not accused of doping. He never was on PEDs, so pretty much nothing came of it. We didn't get to 2012, which really wasn't a good year for Manny Pacquiao. He ended up losing a controversial fight to Tim Bradley, but Tim Bradley ended up taking the championship from him. And it just was a controversial fight. A lot of people didn't agree with the decision. Manny didn't agree with the decision. It was just all kinds of just chaos that happened. Well, he then ended up fighting Juan Manuel Marquez, and probably in one of the most famous knockouts ever, ended up getting technically knocked out in the 6th round with a minute and 35 to go. So pretty much after that fight, it kind of took a little bit of the entertainment value of it because it seemed like Pacquiao was invincible and he hadn't fought Floyd yet, so it kind of took the value out a little bit. So for about the next 2 years, pretty much it was the equivalent to presidential mudslinging. They were blaming each other about fighting. I can beat you, you can beat me. There were commercials being made. People were giving Floyd Mayweather the Roy Jones treatment and saying he was only picking his fights. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got good news for you. On February 20th of this year, Floyd Mayweather took to social media, Facebook and Twitter, saying that the fight had been agreed upon for May 2nd, 2015. We will see Floyd Mayweather against Manny Pacquiao finally. And as the great Mills Lane said, let's get it on.
So fellas, I basically want to get your opinion on the fight. I'm going to start off with you, Lo.
I'm going to favor this fight, Floyd, being that the fact of the matter, the premise of how he beat Manuel Marquez. Pretty much, Pacquiao fought this guy 4 times. Out of the 4 times, I think it was a draw. He's won twice, and then he had got knocked out by Manuel Marquez. I really don't think Manuel Marquez should have knocked him out for the premise in which he done it, in the fashion in which he done it. Meanwhile, while Floyd came off pretty much a 2-year hiatus and make him look like a little boy. So I'm just going to favor this. And Floyd being, I believe he's more of a defensively sound fighter, and I believe he has more tools in the bag to really stop Pacquiao. That's just my opinion.
What about you, Jameson?
Well, I'm gonna have to go differently than you guys because that's what I gotta do. I'm going with Pacquiao on this fight. I just think that a lot of people are underestimating Pacquiao. I mean, the guy trains. He's wanted to fight Floyd all these years, and just because of a little blood test, he didn't want to fight him. Yeah. I mean, it's just, I just think Manny can stand toe to toe.
I mean, he's one of the fighters that pretty much can, but it's like, I don't think he has a toolage. I mean, he has an offensive onslaught, but what do you do with a fighter that can literally stand in front of you and just pretty much dodge everything?
That's true. He's got the speed game going on and whatnot, but I just feel that Pacquiao can catch up with it.
Yeah.
I feel he has the speed as well with his punches, so I mean.
Well, what do you think? Like, I think for me, I think Floyd has a lot, like, even though it doesn't seem like that, he has a lot more pressure riding onto this fight because, he hasn't lost, and while Manny, he's taken a few losses.
Right.
But I gotta go with the greatest of all time right now. I'm gonna go with Floyd because of his defensive prevalences right there. So that's
ain't with TMT, not this time.
That's my opinion. I think he's gonna I think he'll actually win by split decision. So that's
I mean, I could agree to that. I just feel like Floyd having an understanding of the type of fighter that he is. Not to say that Manny is one-dimensional, but I feel like he'll be able to ride it out and kind of feel like, I want to say he'll be able to figure him out pretty fast.
And I think if Manny doesn't get him in the first couple rounds, if it goes the distance, I don't think Manny can really keep up with him. So
I think he would. I'm going to go say this. I think he's going to win by TKO, honestly. We're going to see the great Manny Mayweather get TKO.
Yes, TKO. All right, let's see. Well, that about wraps it up for Inside Cleveland Sports. This is Low Jameson signing off. Take care, everybody.
Get it, Manny.